Welcome to Golden Bachelor. If you love celebrity news and real entertainment updates, you're in the right place. A quiet chapter ends. Dale Moss opens up about life after Cat Izzo. Fans of Bachelor in Paradise were left surprised this week as Dale Moss finally addressed the end of his relationship with Cat Izzo. While rumors had been circulating for some time, Dale's recent reflections offered a calmer, more thoughtful look at what really happened between the two. According to Dale, the relationship didn't end because of one dramatic moment, but rather a series of growing differences that became harder to ignore. He explained that both he and Kat entered the relationship with genuine intentions, hopeful that their connection would grow stronger outside the spotlight. However, real life brought new challenges neither fully expected. Dale shared that timing played a major role. With demanding schedules, personal goals, and different priorities, maintaining balance became increasingly difficult. Though there was still care and respect between them, the emotional distance slowly widened. Rather than placing blame, Dale emphasized mutual understanding. He spoke kindly about Kat, describing her as passionate and driven, and made it clear that their decision to part ways was rooted in honesty rather than conflict. Sometimes, he noted, walking away is the most respectful choice two people can make for each other. Fans have responded with mixed emotions, sadness over what could have been, but also appreciation for the mature way both handled the situation. Many praised Dale for speaking openly while keeping the details private and respectful. As both move forward, this chapter serves as a reminder that not every love story is meant to last forever, but each one leaves behind lessons, growth, and clarity for what comes next. As Dale Moss continued to reflect on the end of his relationship with Cat Izzo, he made it clear that the public nature of their romance added an extra layer of pressure. While their connection began in an exciting and hopeful environment, transitioning back into everyday life proved far more complicated than either of them anticipated. He explained that once the cameras were gone, reality set in quickly. Small misunderstandings began to feel heavier, and conversations that once flowed easily required more effort. Dale admitted that both of them were trying to hold on to the version of the relationship they remembered from the show, rather than the one they were actually living. Friends close to the couple noticed the shift as well. While there were still moments of laughter and support, the energy between them had changed. Dale shared that he often found himself questioning whether love alone was enough when their long-term visions didn't fully align. Despite the emotional weight of their decision, Dale said there was no resentment. Instead, there was a quiet sadness mixed with gratitude. He spoke about the importance of choosing personal growth over comfort, even when that choice is painful. Letting go, he explained, was not a sign of failure, but an act of honesty. Kat, according to Dale, handled the separation with strength and grace. She focused on her own goals and surrounded herself with supportive friends and family. While they no longer walked the same path, he expressed hope that both of them would find happiness in the next chapters of their lives. For fans, this update served as a reminder that relationships formed under extraordinary circumstances often face extraordinary challenges. Love can be real, meaningful, and still not last forever. As Dale steps forward, he says he's taking time to reflect, reset, and rediscover what truly matters to him, both in love and in life. And while this chapter has closed, the story of growth, healing, and new beginnings is only just beginning. As time passed, Dale admitted that the hardest part wasn't the public reaction, it was the quiet moments afterwards. Moments when routines changed, messages stopped coming, and the future he once imagined slowly faded into memory. He shared that endings like this don't arrive loudly, they arrive softly, through silence and understanding. Dale reflected on how expectations can shift once real life begins. On the show, everything felt intense and accelerated. Outside of it, patience and compromise became essential. He realized that while chemistry can spark quickly, lasting connection requires shared direction, and that was where the distance quietly grew. Those close to Dale say he took the separation seriously, stepping back from distractions to focus on self-reflection. He began prioritizing mental clarity, health, and grounding himself away from the noise of social media. Rather than rushing into explanations, he chose to process privately before speaking publicly. Kat Izzo, meanwhile, remained focused on her own journey. Though neither spoke in detail about private conversations, it was clear that the decision was mutual and thoughtful. There were no harsh words, only an acceptance that sometimes two good people can care deeply and still not move forward together. Fans noticed subtle signs long before the confirmation: fewer shared moments, quieter online presence, and a shift in tone. When the truth finally surfaced, it felt less like a shock and more like a confirmation of what many had quietly sensed. Dale emphasized that this chapter taught him the value of emotional honesty. He spoke about learning when to hold on and when to let go, even when the feelings are real. Growth, he said, often comes from moments that hurt the most. Now, standing at a new crossroads, Dale is choosing patience over pressure. He's not closing the door on love, but he's no longer forcing timelines. This experience reshaped how he views relationships, reminding him that peace and alignment matter just as much as passion. And as this story continues to unfold, one thing is clear: this wasn't just an ending, it was a turning point. In the weeks following the quiet separation, Dale Moss began to understand how deeply the relationship had shaped him. It wasn't just about losing a partner, it was about letting go of a version of himself that believed love could solve everything on its own. That realization, he admitted, took time to accept. He spoke about moments of self-doubt that followed. Questions lingered late at night: what could have been done differently, what signs were missed, and whether timing had simply been unfair. Yet, with reflection came clarity. Dale recognized that not every connection is meant to last, but every connection leaves behind truth. Those close to him described a period of withdrawal, not out of sadness alone, but out of intentional healing. He reduced public appearances, chose meaningful conversations over noise, and allowed himself space to feel without judgment. Healing, he said, doesn't require explanation, it requires patience. Kat Izzo's absence was felt not in dramatic ways, but in subtle ones. Shared plans quietly disappeared, future conversations ended unfinished, and familiar routines changed. Still, Dale maintained that there was respect on both sides. No bitterness followed, only acceptance. As fans continued to speculate, Dale remained careful with his words. He didn't want to reshape the narrative into something it wasn't. This wasn't a story of conflict. It was a story of two people realizing that love without alignment eventually asks difficult questions. Over time, that weight began to lift. Dale found strength in routine again. Early mornings, training, reconnecting with friends, and grounding himself in purpose beyond relationships. He started viewing the ending not as a loss, but as a redirection. Looking ahead, Dale says this chapter taught him to slow down, listen more, and value emotional balance over intensity. Love, he believes now, should feel steady, not rushed or uncertain. And while the door to the past has closed, the path forward feels clearer than ever. This ending, though quiet and painful, became the beginning of something stronger: self-awareness, growth, and the courage to move forward with honesty. As the weeks turned into months, Dale Moss began to openly reflect on the lessons this chapter of his life had taught him. He admitted that the hardest part wasn't just the separation, it was reconciling the memories with the reality of moving forward. Every relationship leaves a mark, he said, but some leave a deeper imprint that shapes the way you see yourself and the world. Dale shared that he often revisited the early days with Cat Izzo, remembering the excitement, laughter, and shared dreams. Those memories were bittersweet. They reminded him of what was beautiful, yet underscored why moving on was necessary. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, he focused on understanding what each moment had taught him about patience, communication, and self-awareness. He also opened up about the unexpected support he received from fans and friends. Messages of encouragement reminded him that even when a chapter closes, connections made along the way endure. Dale emphasized that hearing others relate to his journey gave him strength and perspective. It wasn't just his story, it was a story of learning, growth,
One of the
and
most
resilience.
important lessons, he said, was about timing. Love, he realized, is about more than just feelings. It's about life aligning in a way that allows two people to grow together. Sometimes, no matter how strong the connection, timing simply isn't right. Accepting that truth, though painful, brought a sense of peace he hadn't felt in months. Dale also reflected on his personal growth. The separation forced him to focus inward, to reconnect with his values and goals, and to discover that happiness isn't dependent on someone else. While he cherished the memories with Kat, he now approaches relationships differently, more thoughtfully, more patiently, and with a clearer sense of what he truly needs. Finally, Dale shared a message for fans. Life is unpredictable, relationships are complex, and endings don't always mean failure. Sometimes they're a necessary step toward understanding yourself and creating a more authentic future. And while this chapter with Cat Izzo has ended, he remains optimistic about the possibilities ahead, both in love and in life. As time went on, Dale Moss began to reflect not only on the relationship itself, but also on what it revealed about his own life. He realized that the intensity of being in the public eye adds pressures that most people never experience. Every action, every word, every moment together was examined under a microscope, and sometimes that scrutiny can make even the strongest connections feel fragile. Dale admitted that this experience taught him patience and self-awareness. He began asking himself questions he had never faced before. What do I truly want in a partner? What boundaries are essential for my happiness? And most importantly, how can I ensure that love grows in a way that is sustainable, both emotionally and practically? These reflections were not easy, but they were necessary. In interviews and private conversations, Dale emphasized that his feelings for Kat never vanished. There was admiration, respect, and a deep connection that remained in his heart. Yet he realized that love alone is not always enough. Sometimes timing, priorities, and personal growth paths don't align, and that doesn't mean the love was invalid or the experience wasted. Dale also shared moments of gratitude. He thanked Kat for the joy, the laughter, and the lessons they shared. He spoke about the small, seemingly ordinary moments that now hold extraordinary meaning, late-night conversations, shared adventures, and the ways they inspired each other to grow. Those memories, he said, will always remain with him as a positive reminder of what they shared. Fans responded with empathy and support, noting how refreshing it was to see someone handle a breakup with maturity and respect. Many commented that Dale's openness about the challenges of balancing public life with personal relationships resonated deeply. It wasn't just a celebrity story, it was a human story about learning, growing, and moving forward with grace. Now, Dale is focusing on the future with clarity.
He's dedicating more time to self-improvement, pursuing personal goals, and reconnecting with passions outside of romantic relationships. While the chapter with Cat Izzo has ended, it has opened a new chapter, one built on wisdom, patience, and the courage to embrace whatever comes next. Even in heartbreak, Dale Moss's story is a reminder that endings can be both painful and enlightening. They can teach lessons that love alone cannot, and they can prepare us for a future filled with new possibilities and hope. Thanks for watching Golden Bachelor. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next big story.